So what are you after? Are you after success or are you after happiness? Is there a difference between the two? Can you have success without having happiness, or can you have happiness without having success? We're going to talk about that this week on episode 191 of The Relaxed Male. This is The Relaxed Male, a show that comes to you each week helping men to remove the nice guy from their life so they can actually live their life on their terms. Join the host, certified coach Brian Goodwin, as he helps men step out of their heads and become free from the thoughts that bind them. Hey man, hello and welcome to Relaxed Male. I am your host Brian, and I am a certified men's coach that assists men who are just neck deep in the suffering of their life. Men who are going through a divorce, men who are just going through their day-to-day struggles. Life can come at us fast, and sometimes we just got to learn how to overcome all that overwhelm, how to stop being confused, and how to actually step through that discomfort so that we can embrace the lives that we want to have, to live our life on our terms, on that other side of our obstacles. So each week we look at what it takes to change how we look at ourselves, changing the mindset, changing our means of thinking so that we stop playing the victim and start becoming men. And guys, that's exactly what we're talking about each and every week. It's what we're wanting to be able to do, is to help these guys who are every week coming up to the show, listening, looking for answers. And what those answers are, it depends on what it is you're thinking of of whatever the circumstance happens to be at that moment. This is something that we all struggle with. I still struggle with this. These are all problems that come up time and time again. And we're going to be talking about finding that success within our lives. This is the reason why we get out of bed every morning. This is why we do what we do, why we take the massive actions that we take, because we have a goal in mind. And when we achieve that goal, we see ourselves as being successful. Maybe it's raising our kids to become productive citizens in the world. If we're able to do that, hey, we look at ourselves as being successful in that endeavor, and we want to become successful. But a lot of us also get ourselves all caught up with wanting to be happy. It seems to elude us more and more and more. The harder we pursue that level of happiness that we want, it seems to almost become harder for us to actually achieve that happiness. And how is that comes about? Well, that comes about because of what we're thinking. And we're going to be diving into all the thoughts about that, and what the difference is between success and happiness, and what are some other ways we can look at all that together. But before we start into that, I want to say hello. If this is your first time listening to the show, man, I want to just step out here and say hello. Welcome to the Relaxed Male. Hopefully we're able to provide some information for you so that you're able to apply that to your life, apply the lessons that are provided here to your life, and help you discover new ways of looking at the world and see that the world is actually a lot brighter and a lot fuller and a lot more amazing than you did just 30 minutes before. And if you want to have more of these shows brought to your phone each and every week, all you have to do is go to relaxedmale.com/subscribe, and you can subscribe to your favorite show there. Or if you're listening to this through your favorite podcasting app, then all you have to do is just click the subscribe, follow button on that app. And every week, every Thursday, you'll get a new episode in. So it helps us grow and lets other people know. It allows us to, when you subscribe, it allows us to rise up in the rankings just a little bit each and every time. So please follow, and I'll keep trying to bring as much goodness to the show as I possibly can. So what are you actually after in life? Are you after riches? Are you after success? You're wanting to just try to be happy more often, or even just happier than what you have been? This is a conundrum that a lot of men fall into. This is something that a lot of men struggle with, because lots of men, me included, have thought we've hit a level of success, something that we were wanting to accomplish. We get there and we expected ourselves to just be almost ecstatic with happiness. And we were supposed to have we had these preconceived notions as to what our success was supposed to be about. And yet we hit that level of success and we find out, oh, wait a minute. We didn't have didn't have the results that we thought we were going to have. And then there's people who are struggling with just trying to be happy. You have a lot of young folks, a lot of young men these days who are stuck with their phones, looking at the phone, trying to understand why this device that brings so much engagement to it, causes us to put so much attention into it, doesn't actually provide us very much joy, doesn't provide us any happiness or very little happiness. Sometimes we'll come across a news article or a news feed post like on Facebook or Twitter or something that is something that, we end up having a thought of, oh, hey, that's a good idea. Or, hey, that's pretty cool. That's neat. Or, hey, congratulations to your high school friend who is getting married or having their third child or whatever. And we have a little bump of joy there, a little extra happiness right there. But quickly, that just kind of levels out. And something else comes on. And a lot of people want to say, oh, well, a lot of that anger, a lot of that unhappiness that we experience is from what we're seeing, because negativity generates more engagement on Facebook, on Twitter, and those types of platforms. And to a point, yeah, but there's also a lot of platforms or a lot of accounts out there that they're all about just bringing positivity, and they're very successful, or at least what I would deem as successful. And they are they're growing, they're making money, they're doing success in whatever their way is and reaching their objectives. So why aren't more people happy? That's a kind of an interesting question. If somebody's doing stuff that makes them happy, if somebody's doing things that brings them joy, then why are we not having more joy brought around? And some people say, well, it's a capitalist system. No, it's not. It doesn't have to do anything to do with the economic system. And people will want to point to the fact that, well, look at the poor folks. Poor folks tend to have a higher level of happiness than rich people. Yeah, but why is that? And that's where you got to start kind of looking at stuff a little closer, because on the level, it's on the surface level, it all looks like, oh, well, if you want to be happy, you have to be broke and poor. But yet the people telling you that you must be broke and poor are all very rich. So something's not adding into that department. You have to have a struggle to be happy. And our levels of struggles are nowhere near as great as what they used to be, even 50 years ago, back in the 70s, or even 70, 80 years ago, because back in the 40s, I'd say even in the, 70, 80 years ago, when we had the Great Depression, there was a lot more joy around than what you really heard. They had reasons to be able to meet. So should you be unsuccessful so that you could be happy, or should you be unhappy and have success? Well, first off, if we're going to look at it like that, then it's kind of a straw man argument, really, because you can have success and not have happiness. You can also have success and happiness together. There are differences between the two. And the big difference between what success and happiness is the means on how you achieve it. Success is just your results. All right. If we look at the model, you have your C line, which is what the circumstance is. You made, $100,000 in a year. All right. Boom. You made $100,000 in a year. You had the thought of, yeah, I achieved my goal, which created a feeling of happiness, sense of accomplishment, things along those lines. And then you had your actions because of that feeling, which resulted in you feeling happy about whatever, being glad of your success. The success is just the result. You had success. You had feelings of success about whatever it was you accomplished. Happiness is the feeling. It's a completely different line. So what are the difference? You can have success and not have happiness. This is the reason why you can have success and not have happiness. You can also have happiness and still not yet reach success. You can also have other feelings going on with that. Your success is just, it's the results, but it can also be whatever the circumstance is. No, actually, now that I think of that's not true, because even though I may have something that I deem successful, somebody else can come by and go, dude, that you're far from being successful, because success, what you deem to be successful and what success actually means to you is subjective. If it's a subjective item, it's a thought. So success can become a thought. You can think that I am successful, but it doesn't mean that you are actually successful to somebody else. To a poor man, you making $100,000 a year, they're going to go, hey, dude, you're doing pretty good. You're a successful person. To Warren Buffett, you may go, well, it's a start, and at least you now have a little bit of folding money in your pocket. But to know the differences between what success and happiness are warrants a lot of different results in what you're wanting to accomplish. If you have a business that is being successful, there's a good chance you're going to be happy about that. But if you have a son who is graduating from high school, there's a good chance you're going to be happy about that too. Does it mean you're successful? I don't know. Success depends on what your definition of it is. What do you want to define as success? Most people define the achievement of a particular goal as being success for that goal. I want to make $100,000 in a year. If I can make that, sweet, I'm successful. Now, it also brings along with the feeling of being tired and being, having other thoughts and other objectives and circumstances coming into view. So if I had the thought of once I'm successful, I can be happy, that's when you start getting yourself into trouble. All of a sudden, I'm successful. I made $100,000. Oh my gosh, I've now got more bills. Oh my gosh, now all of a sudden the IRS is wanting more of my money. Why we start having these other scenarios and circumstances cropping up. And so our success can create other emotions because we did not fully define what our success is. Our happiness, again, is just an emotion. We can frame our line of thinking to bring in more happiness. But you have to remember that life is 50-50. Okay. You're going to have half the time of your life, you're going to be in pain. You're going to not be happy. You're not going to have a grand old time. Half the time there's going to be struggle. Half the time there's going to be some type of pain, whether it's paying a bill, trying to figure out how you're paying a bill, something along those lines. And then the other half of the time, you're going to have pleasure. You're going to be at the top of the mountain. You're going to get to see that there is another mountain on the other side of that mountain that you have to climb. And that's a bigger, steeper mountain. Now you can choose, sweet, I've got a new goal, or you can think, crap, man, look at the size of that mountain. I'm never going to make it. You have the choice. Now, another problem that a lot of people want to take is they want to have happiness as their goal. I want to be happy. But that's kind of a problem also, because what happens, especially with the 50-50 lifestyle or the 50-50 principle, you're going to have stuff happen in your life where you're not going to be happy. You're going to drive past somebody who had a disastrous car wreck. You're going to hear that your grandma has passed away, or your favorite uncle has died, or, someone has gotten arrested, or something's happened, and, some type of tragedy has happened. So if your measuring stick is that I want to be happy to be successful, then you have to start asking yourself, when tragedy strikes, does that mean you've actually failed? And the answer in all reality is no, you didn't fail. It's just showing you that there are actually times in life that you truly don't want to be happy. You don't want to be laughing like a loon when you're at a funeral. And there are times that you want to be down. There are times that you don't want to sit there and try to crack. There's a word for it. It's called jocularity. When you're trying to make a joke at a very inappropriate time, you have to be able to know when to actually have the emotions that you want to have, and be okay with the fact that there's times that you may want to be happy and it's just not going to be in you, dude. You may want to be, oh God, I should be happy right now. Why should you shit on yourself? Why do you have to be happy? What if you actually just step back and it's like, well, I'm kind of there. I'm just kind of low energy today. I'm just not going to be, over the top, yuck, man. I'm going to be, just kind of average there, dude. You can be that. There's nothing wrong with that. The only time that becomes a problem is if you think it's a problem. And if you make it a problem, then it's going to snowball and you're going to be down more and more and more. There's a saying that I used to hear, and I think it used to be like in the 80s, there was an Avon, a multi-level marketing company called Interior Decorations. And they sold just little wall hanging things like that. And some of them had little Christian things. I think you could buy precious moment figurines from them and precious moment pictures and things like that. But there was also a lot of little, I'm going to call it paisley like sconces. They were candle sconces, but they were very wavy and they looked like paisley. Is the only thing I can look at, the paisley patterns, and had a lot of loops and dips and things like that. But they also had little sayings. And I think this is where a lot of the times the sayings were like, the footsteps poem where, I was walking down the sand and there was 2 sets of footprints, and I looked over and asked God, noticed that God was walking with me. And then as I continued through my life, I kept looking back, and every time I needed God the most, there was only 1 set of footprints. And I asked God, it's like, why did you leave me during those times? And it was, is like Jesus replied with the whole statement of, I didn't leave you. I was carrying you. So, yeah. And so there's those types of things. It's very Christian oriented, things like that. But they had one that really stuck out with me, if this is where I saw that. But happiness is like a butterfly. A long ways to tell just to get to the actual. Anyhow, just realized I just shot up probably about 5 minutes worth of time that I didn't need to actually state. But anyhow, it's a fun story. I like talking. All right. But anyhow, there was a little pictures that had a little saying like to the effect of happiness is like a butterfly. The more you chase it, the more it will evade you. But if you stop and you leave it alone, it will lightly come and land upon your shoulder. That's where happiness comes in. Happiness is when you are doing something that you find something that is greater than happy. And yes, you can have something that is more effective than being just happy. One of those emotions that you can actually feel is feeling fulfilled. Doesn't mean you're going to be yucking it up the whole time. You're not going to be Mr. Positivity, but you have accomplished what your goals are. And when you become fulfilled in your life, you actually start seeing success in more areas. So are you wanting to be successful and happy, or would it be better to be successful and fulfilled? What if you were to pursue fulfillment and let happiness happen when it happens? And pay attention to the thoughts that you're having running through your brain, because you're probably having something like, well, what if I never have happiness happen? That's a thought. That's all those things are. Those are just thoughts, your brain wanting to make sure that you stay on the edge of anxiety, because what if a cave bear comes along and eats you up while you're sitting on the couch? Well, it's probably not going to happen on the couch because you're most comfortable there. But you going out and trying to start a business, there may be a saber-toothed tiger hanging around, and he may just decide he wants to eat you. And what that eating you may look like, you failing, you having somebody give you a bad review, somebody who is just saying that you don't know what you're doing, you telling yourself that you don't know what you're doing. And the thought and the work that you're going to have to put into it can lead to fulfillment. It can also lead to disaster. You're taking a risk with a lot of money. Are you going to become successful, or are you going to become another statistic of why 90% of all businesses fail? Are you willing to stick it out until you start making some decent cash, or are you going to fold and throw in the towel? Because you can actually become successful and fulfilled at the same time. You can actually go after both. You can become fulfilled. You can take those trips that you want to take. And because you're taking those trips, you're going to experience that joy. You're going to experience frustration if you have to travel in today's society anyhow. So to think that the ability to travel is where the happiness is going to come. It's not. It's going to be the experiences that suck. Look back on anything. One of the biggest points, and this is just another showing of happiness is perceived. Ask any military person what the most memorable part of their service was, and what part had the most fun in it, the most exciting part of their service. Guarantee you, boot camp is going to be listed in there somewhere. During the time boot camp sucked, you hardly got any sleep. I mean, I remember that first week at Great Mistakes that we were really just, you didn't get much sleep, if any sleep at all, or you only got 1 or 2 hours. And so you're kind of zombified as you're stumbling around in your sweatsuit and getting handed everything, finding out that, oh, wait a minute, you actually end up having to pay for all of your uniform items, and the shock of that. And all of a sudden wondering why you didn't get a check the first pay period, but you got your check the second pay period, and it was only half the amount of what it was supposed to be. And then that third check comes along, and oh, hey, look at that. Yeah, we got everything working right now. And it's, the work was there, and it helped, and it did good for what it was needing, but you didn't get paid much. But your kitchen patrol and mess cranking, if you're in the Navy, those were all memorable times. And yeah, there was times you could even look back at it and laugh at the times that you just got yourself just burned and just ground it into hamburger meat because somebody else or even you screwed up and caused everyone to get punished. And y'all were doing calisthenics until somebody was going to puke. And then once they got puked, everyone had to work twice as hard because that person puked. And we remembered back on that fondly. I mean, come on, that was sheer hell at the moment. But yet here we are. We're looking at it in a favorable light. So did boot camp suck, or did our thoughts about boot camp change? You see, happiness is what we want to think happiness is. We can laugh at someone, losing their mind in a Karen video, while at the moment, that person whoever the Karen is the subject of is not having a good time. And that's because they're having their own set of thoughts. The Karen themselves is having an emotional meltdown because of their own thoughts. And that's the great thing. Do you want to have happiness in your life? Pay attention to what your thoughts are. If you're dragging your butt down because you're being Eeyore, you've got Eeyore living inside your head, then why not kick Eeyore out and let Tigger come in? Yeah, he's a little bit annoying. He's a little high energy, but still, you can have a great life. You can have a great time. You can go through, you can find the success that you want to have, that $100,000, that $1 million a year. There's no limit. You can find the new woman in your life. If you have a woman, your wife has decided to divorce you and you're out looking for another one, you're going to have to go through a lot of discomfort, a lot of unhappiness to find the success of a new bride. You're going to have to go through unhappiness to find your fulfillment. And so, do you want to have success? Are you after success, or are you after happiness, or are you after success and happiness in the means of fulfillment? Because that's doesn't mean you're going to be happy the whole time through, but you're going to be emotionally fulfilled in what you want out of life. So guys, with that, I want to thank you very much for taking the time to listen. If this message resonated with you in any way, please share it out. Please share it onto Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or X, whatever they want to they're calling themselves these days, Threads, all those different social media sites. Take this, hit the share button, share it out. Let folks know that there is a movement out there called the relaxed male, and we are changing the way men see the world, changing men on how they see life in general, so that they can actually have the courage and the willpower to want to change how they live their life. Start living their life on their terms. If you know somebody personally who would love to hear this message or would benefit from hearing this message, when you hit share, hit that text message, send it to them. Go, dude, I was thinking about you the whole time this message was being talked about. I think you should hear it too. And just send it out like that. Doing that allows us to grow, because more people are going to listen to us. More people are going to hear what the message is. And the more people are going to like and start signing up and becoming followers of the relaxed male. And we can start changing men from the guys who are just these nervous wrecks to the men who want to become better. That's what we're here to do. And I want to thank you for taking the time to listen. Y'all take care. Again, like, follow, and we'll see y'all next week. So till then, bye.